Hello, my name is Candace, and welcome back to Casual Bites, a podcast where we take small bites out of big thoughts. Casual Bites is streaming on Apple Podcasts and Amazon Music with full video episodes available on Spotify and YouTube. Hello, this is Editing Candace here to give you a little message before you start this episode. I don't know what I was on when I was recording this episode, but I would suggest you to slow down this episode speed or the video speed unless you want to get bombarded with a bunch of information really fast. It is a very short and sweet episode, so if that's what you're in the mood for, don't change a thing. But yep, I'll be dropping you back into the episode. Enjoy! Hello, friends. How are we doing this week? As you can probably see, I was out earlier and I went to one of my friends' housewarming, which was really, really wholesome. I hadn't seen these friends since like graduation, so it was really nice to see all them again. It's also been my first time out since basically like end of May, early June. So it was really refreshing to see everyone and to be able to socialize and all that stuff. But afterwards, I went to my friend's like DJ set. He was opening for some people and I just went to go support and his set was really good. Love the vibes. He's like really good at mixing a lot of genres together, but he specifically does like dubstep, techno-ish. So it was really fun set to listen to, and I had a great time there. But yeah, all in all, it was really nice to just like socialize with people. Not that I wasn't socializing with my hometown girls, but just seeing some college friends was really refreshing and like it kind of uplifted my mood a little bit. So that was really nice. Not too much of an update this week. My knee's getting better, and I actually was able to walk a mile straight on the treadmill yesterday. So that was honestly a really big accomplishment. Just been doing my usual PTs, have been able to walk upstairs one leg at a time, one step at a time. So yeah, it might seem like a tiny accomplishment for people, but if you had like ACL surgery or like knee surgery, like you'll know how like rewarding that is. And I've been making a lot of progress, a lot faster than I actually thought. So that's been great. But yeah, I was kind of just like, I might as well record since I already have like my makeup done and everything. I was gonna record before I left, but realistically, I just didn't have enough time. But yeah, let's just get into the episode. Have you ever noticed that your handwriting changes slightly based on how you're feeling? Well, it's actually because it's a physical action that's controlled by your brain and nervous system. So, strong feelings can alter your muscle tension, your writing spread, and focus, which directly changes how your writing is. For example, when you're stressed or you're angry, you will usually tighten up, causing tight muscles and fast, heavy strokes, making your handwriting look a lot messier, sharper, or larger than normal. Or when you're tired or you're bored, you tend to be a lot looser and you have slower brain to hand coordination, which results in lazier letter shapes, smaller text, and dragging lines. Your handwriting actually holds a lot of emotion and information, and it can reveal a lot about us without really even realizing it. A great example of this is how the FBI uses handwriting studies to profile people. And yes, you might have seen this in like crime shows like Criminal Minds, but it's called forensic handwriting analysis. So, forensic handwriting analysis is a scientific examination and comparison of handwriting samples to determine authorship, and it checks for forges, and it also verifies the authenticity of some questioned documents. I think it's usually like, checks or like legal documents where they need to kind of like verify or whatever. But it relies on the principles that no two people write exactly alike and that a person's handwriting has very natural variations. There are actually like three main key elements that are examined. The first one is the letter form, so the way that it's slanted, its shape, its curves, its proportions of the letters. The second is the line form, which is the stroke, the speed and the pressure and the smoothness. And lastly, the formatting, so spacing between letters, spacing between words and lines, and margins. So I know you guys are dying to know. Candace, what is the difference between forensic handwriting analysis and graphology? Great question. Forensic handwriting analysis actually focuses more on the physical traits and habits to prove or disprove who wrote a document, but graphology attempts to decode a person's personality traits or psychological profile, which is not a validated forensic. That is why the FBI, courts, and law enforcement use forensic document examination because it focuses on the actual physical evidence that can be compared and tested. But this is not a forensic lesson. I'm here to talk a little bit more about graphology, since it's actually something that I've realized on my own in my own handwriting throughout the years. Like I mentioned in the beginning, graphology surrounds the belief that a person's handwriting contains clues about their personality, emotions, behaviors, and psychological characteristics. A graphologist can examine the same thing a forensic handwriting analyst does, but they interpret those characteristics psychologically. Isn't that so cool? Like, I don't know if I'm a freak and I'm the only one that kind of notices those details, but when I read back on my notes or my journal entries or whatever, I tend to see that my handwriting is different. Or maybe it's because nowadays we don't even write on paper that much. But why? Is it because we're lazy? Is it because technology has advanced so far past the point of physical paper? In a way, I think it has to do with perfectionism. Yes, okay, like, of course, it's also because, like, typing online saves space, it's easier to store, it's easier to keep track of, it's convenient, whatever. But is that all we actually care about? People today do so many things off the fact that it's convenient. I mean, like, what happened to stop and smell the roses? I mean, now people just drive by in their 5 million horsepower jet engine car that is loud as shit, or even better, they aren't even the ones that are actually driving the car, and they're actually on the phones the whole time while their robot car takes them from point A to point B. But I mean, I've come to realize that we aren't here for the love of the game anymore. We're not even here because we enjoy the journey. Right, whatever. Like, I'm sure I'm just saying shit, but what am I actually trying to get at? Thomas Jefferson's initial draft of the Declaration of Independence was revised 86 times before it was officially approved on July 4th, 1776. 86 times! Holy shit! Granted, it was just the revisions, but the man had to write the whole thing on a scroll with a feather and ink. Many, 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 many times, just to perfect the sole thing we as Americans are proud of. If that document was typed on a computer, do you think it would have the same effect? How many times do you think his hand cramped rewriting all that shit? Like, yeah, like if he typed it, the content would still be the same, the end result would be the same, but it's the journey that matters. And I think that's something that I really want to bring to people's attention. Everything is so digitized now that you get so lost in the sauce. Have you felt that? I mean, I could be watching a reel about a food recipe, scroll to the next reel, and just black out for hours and hours. When I think back to what I was watching, I have literally no recollection of it. And because of that, I kind of started to write in a commonplace journal, a random journal where you write down everything and anything. It's not like a diary or a daily journal where you're required to write about your feelings or your day. It's kind of just a huge brain dump and an IRL notes app. The thing that's so good about a commonplace journal is that it's different for everyone. When I was starting mine, I was really lost because I kind of thought I needed a structure for it. But after watching like a couple flip throughs on YouTube of other people's journals, I realized that people literally just write whatever they want. Like they write down their thoughts and just completely just empty out their brain onto pages. And every new page can be a new idea, or every bullet can be a new thought. Like it really doesn't matter. For me, I have found that what works is to write a new thought or an idea onto each new page. Then I'll kind of do like my own research and come up with my own thoughts and opinions on it. For example, I was seeing a lot of videos on fountain pens, so I decided to just kind of gather all of my information onto a page of my commonplace. I also like to keep some random quotes in my page or my movie theories in it too. Deadass just any new information that I learn or some things about self-care or growth. And there has been tons and tons of studies on how physically writing actually helps you better retain information. And I'm sure we all know this, but I feel like that's exactly why commonplace journals and notebooks work. When I'm studying, I always make an effort to rewrite down whatever I remember, and it really just helps stimulate my brain and actually assess how much I know. In a 2025 study focused on adults, authors were experimenting around the central question of, does handwriting activate the brain differently from typing? They wanted to know whether handwriting and typing use the same brain circuits or whether they produce different patterns of brain activity. This study showed that handwriting activated a broader network involving motor, sensory, visual spatial, and language related areas. Your brain is basically thinking about what word to write while simultaneously thinking about what the letter looks like, in what order it goes in, the amount of pressure you use to write, the way you hold your pen, etc. Typing, on the other hand, relies more on repetitive finger movements, executive functions, working memory, and spatial organization. It's a lot less brain work because you're already selecting an existing symbol by pressing a key. But what about the memory aspect? Well, there's something called the encoding effect. And the basic idea is that the physical effort required to form letters may help you encode information more deeply. The study basically suggests that handwriting can improve memory retention because physically forming letters require deeper cognitive and multisensory processing, creating stronger encoding of information. Typing is faster and can lead to more verbatim transcription, which may involve a shallower processing of the material. However, the report notes that the memory advantages may also just come from how handwriting encourages people to summarize, organize, and structure information rather than simply from the physical act of writing itself. Do with that what you will, but it's definitely something to get you thinking about how you actually process information. Anyways, with a journal or any form of writing comes a need for a writing utensil, right? If I told you to write something down right now, what would you reach for? A pen or a pencil? For adolescence or for education or math purposes, you would more likely reach for a pencil. But as you mature, you might use a pen for daily tasks and professional work. But have you really been writing that much in your day-to-day lately? Pencils give you the ability to erase, creating the feeling of being able to reverse things. But pens, they're permanent. When you write with a pen, you generally can't completely undo what you've written. You can cross it out, white out, whatever, but the original mark still remains. Permanence, the quality or state of lasting for a very long time or forever. It means staying the same without ending. What do you think of when you think of permanence? Obviously, you can think of something physical like graffiti or a permanent marker, but what about permanence on things you can't see, like our feelings, our memories, and our emotions? This might be far-fetched, but I think that a small item like a pen can teach us a lot about kindness and how our actions and words make permanent impacts. This is something that I'm also constantly working towards too. As someone with a stubborn and short temper, sometimes my words can cut deeper than intended, but no matter how big or small the cut is, it's still permanent. I've said it, it's been heard by someone else, and with intent too, so there's no takebacks. But do you see what I mean? This is why writing in pen is so important. Without this, would people ever make that connection? Will we ever think further about it than just a writing utensil? Does typing on a computer give us the same effect as writing with a permanent black ink pen? Again, the outcome is the same, but the journey is different. Now, with that in mind, writing with a pen could feel more committed and consequential. This is where perfection can enter. And I can say I have definitely experienced this firsthand. I used a bullet journal, and so much of bullet journaling consists of perfectly inked lines and perfect spacing to create perfect layouts. Making a mistake, especially on a spread that took so much time and planning, can feel devastating and discouraging. But I mean, if anything, I've learned that you learn to be more comfortable with mistakes. Perfection isn't about getting it right the first time. The more you fail, the greater the success. It's crazy how you can use that concept on something so small like writing in pen, but I think it's so true. Being able to accept the mistakes you make with writing in pen can give you confidence. You stop being so afraid of your next move. You know how to navigate minor disappointments and failures, making you stronger in every aspect of your life. Writing in pen also makes it so that every stroke is intentional. I fear we have a lot of careless people out here in the world, and if the world would just be a little bit more intentional with their actions, their words, and their thoughts, the world could be a better place. Whether it's because it'll cause a chain reaction, positively impact people every day, or because it'll improve your own quality of life, knowing that everything you do is intentional will force you to think about consequences. It makes you weigh your options, and you can either use that for good or for bad. But, I mean, you'd probably do it for your own good, right? I mean, for me, writing in pen is an experience that connects to so many different aspects of my life. Not only does it give me a physical feeling, like the friction of the pen against the paper, it also just makes the journey of taking down information so much more fun. I recently upgraded from a normal ballpoint pen to a fairly beginner friendly fountain pen. And just writing with that in my daily planner, it genuinely has brought me so much joy. I don't know, I love stationery. And I haven't really thought about how important pens are to me until recently. But I mean, not only does your handwriting say a lot about you, the type of pen can also shed light into your personality and preferences. Wow, that's crazy. I just spent a whole week researching and making an episode about pens, but that's just, that's just how you know that I'm really passionate about looking at things in my daily life and being able to dissect all that stuff and to see why I like it and to see how it's impacted me in my life. But yeah, I mean, if this didn't convince you to at least write more, I will say that good handwriting is extremely attractive, so you better start practicing. Anyways, I know this was a short and sweet episode, but I'm very proud of this topic. So if you like this episode, make sure to follow and rate Casual Bites wherever you're listening, Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcast, or Amazon Music, and send it to someone who might need to hear it. You can also find me on Instagram and TikTok at Casual Bites. Thanks for taking small bites out of big thoughts with me. I'll see you soon. Bye!